Well, we all know that saying, if you don't succeed at first, try again. Well, that certainly applies to my next guest, Jonah Hutchinson, who's wanted a career in rugby league only to be denied here in Australia. He had to venture overseas to fulfil his dream. I caught up with Jonah to talk about his rugby league ambitions. Well, Jonah, as far as your ambition was concerned as a youngster, rugby league was number one priority, and you certainly did have a very persistent attitude.
Yeah, I did. I always tried my hardest out there, because I was quite a small kid and I was only 55 kilo and I sort of didn't make the cut, so that's what sort of got me overseas. And once I got overseas, I had an injury which got me back into the horses, and from there I just didn't look back.
Let's have a look at the start of your career as far as rugby league is concerned. You started out with the Brisbane Broncos Academy as a 14-year-old.
Yeah, I did. I played a couple games for them. I got a couple men of the matches with them and played under some nice coaches like Michael Hancock and that sort of stuff. But it was a good experience, but they weren't really interested in me in a future as I was too small. In
what role, as a hooker, halfback, or both?
Mainly hooker, yeah. When I went overseas, I sort of switched to halfback because they were a bit slower and I could use my footwork a bit more, but over here I was a hooker.
Now, before you headed overseas, we'll talk about that part of your career shortly, but the Titans and also the Cowboys as 15 and 16-year-old.
Yeah, but again, as I said, I was just always too small, unfortunately, and no one was willing to put the weight on me, which is funny because when I went overseas, I actually got up to 90 kilos, so all I needed was a bit of time and effort put into me.
Jonah, these days, and over the past probably 10 years or so, rugby league has just become a big man's game.
Yeah, it's come leaps and bounds, and even in the US, it gets bigger and bigger every year. They're paying their players more and more, so one day it might become one of the main things over there.
Jonah, when you headed overseas to America, you had options: Boston, Delaware, Philadelphia, New York. How did you settle on Boston?
I settled on Boston because I have family there and I really wanted to spend some time with them. My auntie lives there and her kids, and it was really good, and she was going through an adoption stage, so I was able to look after the kids for her while she went overseas and did that sort of stuff.
You damaged your shoulder. You showed me where the screws are certainly protruding. How did that all come about?
Well, basically I tried to tackle a guy that was triple my weight and just didn't end well. I tried to play on with it, but it got to a point where I just couldn't take any more. I had to go off the field and went and got scans done, and my shoulder was just completely gone. I've had 2 reconstructions so far. They're talking about a third, but I don't particularly want it because it's a quite painful procedure.
You also had a passion for harness racing, in particular the horses. So how did your involvement in harness racing come about?
I've just always loved horses, and my really good friend Leonard Kane, he got me into the trotters, and from there I just always wanted to do trotters, and my parents were sort of a bit iffy on whether or not I'd make it. So when I separated my shoulder, I sort of took it as a chance to go for it because I couldn't do any other sort of work, and just, never looked back, just kept succeeding.
Jonah, you had a very interesting conversation with Leonard after you were coming out of the anaesthetic following the operation. Yeah,
I did. I didn't believe my horse had won. It was sort of a movie moment, really, because I woke up from the operation and my horse had won 5 minutes ago. So it was just sort of unbelievable. And because I was on the anaesthetic, I sort of had to keep calling Leonard and make sure it was actually true. And I just didn't dream it while I was asleep.
Horse in question, talk to the Max. What a wonderful horse he's been for you.
Yeah, she has. I only paid $500 for her. And yeah, she got me first training win. She got me my first driving and training win here at Menangle, and she's a consistent earner. She may be no champion. I mean, she's only lowly rated, but she's good for a check every week, and she tries her hardest, and that's all I can ask for.
Jonah, you've spent most of your career, the 3 years in harness racing, particularly in Logan Village, with your partner, Paige Bevan, who's also a trainer of Blissful Day, which ran a very credible race here today.
Yeah, he did. He sort of just needed to run, adjust to his track. I sort of started asking him at the straight there, and he didn't know what was going on because we had only done the 1 lap. But she supported me so much, and now it's my time to support her down here.
In reference to that, Paige went to Brisbane to stay with you. Now, very kindly, you've said, now let's go back to Wagga where you were born so we can spend time with your parents.
Yeah. It's been a great move. We're sort of on the fence about it, but again, we've just had a lot of success wherever we've gone, and it's just happened again here, so it was for the better.
Paige followed her granddad and father into harness racing, but the main factor with her career was Bernie Kelly, where she spent 14 months and with Bernie Kelly now.
Yeah, Bernie's getting a bit old these days. He's he can't train the horses anymore. So me and Paige, he tells us what to do, and we go out there and do it. He sits in his car and clocks us and keeps a close eye on us. But he's still there and he's poking around. But he's got some really nice young horses.
And how many horses do you have in your team, and are you looking to expand now that you're here in Sydney?
Yeah, I have 8 myself. I'm always looking to expand. Every year we sort of build our team more and more, and each year we get better graded horses and a bit faster horses, and just going to keep going onwards and upwards.
Well, Joe, I know that will be the case with the talent you have shown as a trainer and driver in such a very brief time, but you've also got ambitions of heading back to Queensland shortly with a very promising 2-year-old.
Yeah, he's just keeps building and getting better every time he hits the track. He's unnamed yet, but I got to get that process this week because he's ready to go to the greenies and that. And every time I take him out, I just come back in and say, wow, like he's got such a good turn of foot. He does everything right. He's just so alert, and he just wants to be out there racing. I think he can take us a long way.
Well, Jonah, you're still a young fella. The Brisbane Broncos are not travelling all that well at the moment. You might head back to that academy.
Oh, I don't think so. I was actually mucking around with Paige the other day because I was always thinking about going back to footy, and she lightly bumped my shoulder and it killed. So I was like, there goes those plans.
Well, Jonah, rugby league's lost, and certainly harness racing's gain. It's been great to catch up with you, and good luck for the future.
Thank you for that.